Renewed strength through prayer. Those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. Isaiah 40:31. The power of prayer in strengthening our spirit. Have you ever felt drained, yet found renewal in prayer? When exhaustion, worry, and discouragement weigh heavily on you, moving forward can seem impossible. Yet in those moments when you kneel before God and pour out your heart, an unexpected strength arises. This is the power of prayer, not just a ritual or last resort, but a direct connection to the source of life, strength, and peace. Prayer is more than asking God for things. It positions us to receive His grace and renewal. In stillness, we find clarity. In surrender, we experience His power. Cultivating a lifestyle of prayer keeps us refueled and ready for whatever life brings. The challenge, life struggles, and the need for divine strength. Life tests our endurance. Stress, financial struggles, personal losses, and broken relationships can leave us weary. Anxiety about the future and regret over past mistakes can drain our strength. The enemy uses these burdens to shake our faith and make us feel alone. Even strong believers experience exhaustion. The prophet Elijah, after his victory on Mount Carmel, fled in fear when Queen Jezebel sought his life. In despair, he prayed, "It is enough. Now, Lord, take my life." 1 Kings 19:4. But God, in His mercy, sent an angel to strengthen him for the journey ahead. Like Elijah, we sometimes feel like giving up. We may not be fleeing for our lives, but we face overwhelming challenges. Our strength alone isn't enough. We need divine intervention. This is where prayer becomes our lifeline. Throughout Scripture, those who turned to God in prayer found renewed strength. Let's explore a few examples. 1. Jesus, seeking strength through prayer. Jesus is our greatest example. Before His crucifixion, in the Garden of Gethsemane, He was overwhelmed with sorrow. "My soul is exceedingly sorrowful, even to death," He said, Matthew 26:38. Yet instead of collapsing, He fell to His knees in prayer. Luke records that an angel appeared to Him from heaven, strengthening Him, Luke 22:43. If Jesus relied on prayer for strength, how much more do we? He teaches us that true strength is found not in avoidance, but in surrendering to God's will. 2. Paul and Silas. Strength in worship and prayer. Paul and Silas were beaten and imprisoned for preaching the gospel. Yet instead of despairing, about midnight, Paul and Silas were praying and singing hymns to God. Acts 16:25. Their response? God sent an earthquake that shook the prison, opened the doors, and set them free. This teaches us that prayer is not just about changing circumstances, but strengthening our spirits. Even when answers seem delayed, prayer shifts our perspective and empowers us to endure. Many believers experience the power of prayer. 3. Hannah, strength through persistent prayer. Hannah, a woman deeply distressed by her inability to bear children, turned to God in fervent prayer. Year after year, she cried out to the Lord, pouring her heart before Him. 1 Samuel 1:10-11. Though mocked and misunderstood, she remained persistent in prayer. Eventually, God answered her, and she gave birth to Samuel, one of Israel's greatest prophets. Hannah's story reminds us that even in prolonged suffering, prayer renews our strength. It helps us endure disappointments and trust in God's perfect timing. 4. Daniel, strength to stand firm through prayer. Daniel was a man of unwavering faith, even in exile. When a decree was issued forbidding prayer to anyone but the king, Daniel remained steadfast. He went home to his upstairs room where the windows opened toward Jerusalem. 3 times a day, he got down on his knees and prayed, giving thanks to his God, just as he had done before. Daniel chapter 6:10. Despite facing the lion's den, Daniel's strength was renewed through consistent prayer. His story teaches us that prayer keeps us anchored in faith, even when the world pressures us to compromise. 5. The Church in Acts. Strength through united prayer. After Jesus' ascension, the early church faced persecution, imprisonment, and opposition. Yet they turned to prayer together, and God responded mightily. When Peter was imprisoned, the church was earnestly praying to God for him. Acts 12:5. God sent an angel to free him, demonstrating the power of united prayer. In modern times, we see the same impact when believers join in prayer for one another. Whether facing illness, financial struggles, or spiritual battles, corporate prayer strengthens individuals and communities alike. 6. Job. Strength to endure through prayer. Job suffered unimaginable loss. His wealth, health, and children were taken from him. His friends misunderstood him, and his wife told him to curse God and die. Yet, Job remained steadfast, crying out to God in prayer. Though he slay me, yet will I trust him. Job 13:15. Despite his suffering, Job's prayers kept his faith alive. In the end, God restored everything Job had lost and more. Job 42:10. His story reminds us that prayer sustains us through trials, even when we don't understand God's plan. 7. Nehemiah. Strength to overcome opposition through prayer. Nehemiah faced intense opposition while rebuilding the walls of Jerusalem. His enemies tried to discourage him, but instead of giving in to fear, he prayed, "Now strengthen my hands." Nehemiah 6:9. Through prayer, Nehemiah remained focused and completed the task in record time, 52 days. His story teaches us that when we seek God's strength through prayer, no obstacle is too great to overcome. A personal testimony, finding strength in prayer. Many believers experience the power of prayer. Sarah, a single mother battling illness, financial struggles, and exhaustion, often wondered how she would continue. One night, at her lowest point, she cried out to God. As she prayed, she felt a peace she had never known before. An unexplainable strength filled her. Though her circumstances didn't change overnight, her spirit was renewed. Through consistent prayer, she found the endurance to press on. And in time, God provided breakthroughs in ways she never imagined. Sarah's story reminds us that prayer may not immediately remove struggles, but it equips us with grace to overcome them. Prayer brings a divine exchange, our weakness for His strength. Isaiah 40:31 says, "Those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength." The key is waiting on Him, seeking Him, and trusting Him. Prayer is more than words. It's a connection to the Almighty. It shifts our focus from limitations to God's power. We stop relying on our efforts and lean on His grace. My grace is sufficient for you, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. 2 Corinthians 12:9. When we surrender to God, He strengthens us beyond human understanding. He lifts our burdens and replaces them with peace, fear with faith, and exhaustion with endurance. As believers, we must cultivate a daily habit of prayer. Just as our bodies need food, our spirits need prayer. A day without prayer leaves us spiritually weak and vulnerable. When struggles arise, let's not wait until we are completely drained to turn to God. Let prayer be our first response, not our last resort. By seeking Him consistently, we will walk in renewed strength every day. Have you experienced the power of prayer renewing your strength? Share your testimony in the comments below to encourage others. If this message has blessed you, watch our next video for more encouragement on your journey with God.